Hey, we're Against the Current, and you are live in Limbo.
Hi, my name is Connor. I'm here with Live in Limbo, and I'm here with Against the Current. How are you guys today?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Yeah, no, it's good. It's a cold, chilly day in Toronto, but there are already, I got to say, about 15 to 20 people lined up outside. Yeah, like it's pretty clear you've got a pretty adoring fan base. Like how?
I thought you were going to call them adorable.
No.
I thought you were going to say that they're an adorable
They're
fan
also
base.
sort of adorable, I guess. But I mean, they're an adoring fan base. They clearly love you very much. How did you get here? How did this come to be?
We got picked up by our bus at Will's house. And then 2 days ago, we went to Boston first and then Montreal, and then we drove to Toronto, Border crossing at 8 a.m.
Oh, that's rough.
bad.
Okay, that's fair.
No, we started the band. The band technically, I guess, started with Dan and Will back when they were like 9 years old. They met each other and started, jamming together, and then they were in multiple bands, and then we, met up with me, and we started the band 5.5 years ago, and then we just played some local shows for a while, and then threw up a cover on YouTube with our first single, and that kind of just had a much bigger reaction than we ever expected. So we kept doing more covers as we released more originals, and it's just taken us to this point, and finally released our record out in May.
Oh, that's great. How does it feel to be like that you got kind of big through YouTube? I mean, there's like lots of different ways, but that's a really like a modern thing, right? That's to kind of come from the internet to like be supported by your fans to sort of release something and go viral, things like that. Like, what do you feel like YouTube and like this sort of like new way of getting big? Like, how do you feel about that?
I mean, it's kind of incredible because it allowed us to have a global fan base instantly. Like on that first video, we were getting comments that were like, love from the Philippines, like come to the Philippines, come to Brazil, come to Indonesia, come to Germany, and like things like that. So it was just like right off the bat, instead of like starting here, like on a map, like this is your hometown and like trying to grow that circle out, it's like all of these little circles formed all over the map and just grew and expanded into each other. So it was like put us at a huge advantage for sure.
Absolutely. And so you've got a global fan base. That's got to be tough. You've got a global fan base in terms of touring and stuff like that, especially when you're first starting out. And so how do you manage that? How do you take care of your fans all over the world?
Definitely a lot of traveling.
Yeah,
all over the world. I feel like we're in the UK every other weekend sometimes, like for something, like always, because they're just so awesome out there, and we just have to keep going back. So a lot of traveling, but it's awesome. I mean, it's incredible to have people all across the world that want to support us. So
yeah, it definitely keeps us busy for sure. And to be able to, like places like Asia, like bands don't usually take out support in places like that. So it's either you go as your own or you don't go at all. So for us to be able to go there is incredible. And, for us to be able to hold our own in Europe and the UK is incredible. So we've just been having a blast doing that.
Great. And do you follow or work with other YouTube musicians and stuff as well? Do you still consider yourself YouTube musicians? I guess should be my first question. Or are you kind of beyond that now?
I mean, if an opportunity came up, like we did a cover with Kurt, was it last summer? It was on Warped Tour,
so it's probably like late August or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, we still meet up with our friends from when
yeah. I think the thing was, like, at the time, like, when we started YouTube, there was a very small circle of, like, YouTube artists, and we still, even then, didn't really consider ourselves a YouTube artist because we weren't, like, I guess we weren't trying to follow, like, back then there was a specific, like, method to it. Like, there was, like, you put a cover out every 2 weeks or every month, and you cover whatever the top song is at the time, and, like, we weren't doing that. We were kind of just, like, throwing a cover up whenever we felt like doing it, or whenever we had like a tour coming out, or like whenever we had a single. So we never even felt like we were YouTubers, I guess. So we feel like we're still doing the same thing with YouTube that we did then. Like, we're never going to turn our back on it because it's a way that we get to instantly connect with our entire fan base. When you go on a tour, it's like every night you get to go to a different city, but when you put up a YouTube video of any form, it's like you get to connect with everybody at once. So
yeah.
Oh, sorry, I wasn't sure. Yeah, that's very cool. That's very cool. So you guys just put out an album this year, correct?
Mm-hmm. In May.
In May, and In Our Bones. I gave it a listen. It's a great album. And I guess a little bit different than some of your earlier stuff, but still along the same lines. And you've talked about, I was kind of reading some past stuff, and you've talked in the past about how your Gravity EP was it was like a whole bunch of different genres all in one. It was like each song was kind of like a different story, a different genre, things like that. Do you think that In Our Bones is the same way?
Yeah, for sure. It's all like, it all fits together. It's all kind of under like, we've kind of come to call ourselves this like pop alternative, like is kind of what we've been calling what our sound is like. We think that's like the best way to describe it, because we are a pop band and we're an alternative band at the same time. So we think that all of the songs kind of fit into that category, but they all have their own thing. You know, they all have their own sound, their own style, their own voice, their own story. So we think, you know, they all stand independently, but they all fit together at the same time.
Cool. Do you think, like, going forward, like, that's like, how is your sound going to change going forward, do you think? Is this,
I mean, I don't know if we really know yet. I don't know, because we weren't even sure, you know, like going in exactly what the record was going to turn out like. You know, we kind of just wanted to see where it went, you know, naturally. So I mean, it's not going to be anything drastically different, but who knows? You know? I mean,
I don't know.
I mean, it could be like rap metal.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
just go for something
really
totally
cool.
different, you know, and just throw it out there. It's always exciting. No. So, and this is your first full length album. What was it like kind of going from doing EPs to an album?
It wasn't drastically different from like making Gravity, at least, because we were working with the same producer, and we were still kind of on that song a day regimen. Like every day we're just like, let's just write a new song. So just, you know, we have as many possibilities, you know, when I went to, you know, picking which songs were going to make the record. So we wrote like upwards of 40 songs, I think. So not too different, but it was cool to be able to pick, you know, like up to, you know, 12 songs rather than, all right, here's like, we need like 4 or 5, like the best. But yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Just like a longer EP.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways.
Like longer. Like that one we got to write a song a day, and then we actually went and recorded it. Whereas like Gravity, we would write it and record it in the same day. So I mean, I guess it's different in that sense, but
yeah, a lot more time like actually like producing the songs, which was cool.
Yeah.
'Cause we did all the writing in LA pretty much, and then we would go back and forth from where the studio where we were actually, you know, cutting the tracks outside of San Francisco, and just, you know, take our time actually dressing the songs up, you know, after they're written. So
For sure.
Cool. So, wow. So 40 songs that you had written, about 40 songs that you had written before you even started putting this together. So what do you think is going to happen to the rest? Is that next album? Is that B-sides?
Maybe,
Is that...
Yeah, maybe B-sides, maybe next record, maybe nothing at all. Like, you know what I mean? Maybe give them to someone else one day. You know, you just, you don't know. I think, or, you know, sometimes we pick apart old songs. Like, hey, there was this really cool part in this song. The song itself maybe wasn't where it needed to be, but this part was really cool. So maybe we take that and use it for something else. So I think most of the songs will end up, you know, doing something like that, maybe. But I think, you know, doing that record process, and like there's been so much that's changed within us, and like as songwriters, so much has changed, like going into record 2 when we eventually do, that we're probably going to want to start as fresh as possible. Maybe take some of those songs, maybe just take inspiration from them, but we still want to, you know, bring in what's new about us and not write about where we were years ago.
So I wanted to do a little activity, I guess, and this was inspired by a mistake that I made. So when I first heard your band name, my first thought was, what do they have against like black currants and like fruits and stuff? And it took an embarrassingly long amount of time to figure out my mistake. And so I finally sort of came to that conclusion. I was like, oh, that makes more sense. Where did that band name come from, out of curiosity?
it was just on like a short list of names that we had.
Oh, okay.
And we just find more meaning in it like every day, kind of, you know. Cool. It really fits us and like what we do, and you know how we got where we are. Everything kind of about about us is kind of a little unconventional, you know, and like modern, like you were saying before.
Right.
So we do kind of go against the current a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you have any particular position on the fruit currents? Or?
I love
Yeah?
them.
Yeah?
Yeah.
They have like the raspberry blackcurrant like slushy drinks at Starbucks in like the UK, and it's so good.
That's like their favorite fruit over there. It's in everything.
It's awesome.
Oh, okay.
Blackcurrant chocolate is really good too.
That sounds really good.
Yeah.
Have you heard of the website The Daily Current? No. Okay.
Sounds like the Daily Prophet though.
It is. It is not actually Canadian. It is a. It's a relatively small website, kind of similar to the Onion. They do fake news
we
articles.
love the
and stuff.
Onion.
Yeah.
Times.
Yeah. The Onion's. The Onion's great. Is Hard Times? They're the Australian one, or is that
Maybe. I
something
just know
else?
it's like similar. To
It's similar idea.
Well,
Anyways.
Isn't Hard Times the band one?
Yeah.
Oh, is it only bands?
Oh, is it music
It's like
related?
very specific like band humor.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I got to check
Yeah.
that one out. I haven't
Yeah.
heard of that. That's really cool. So the Daily Current, and I mean other news sites as well. They've had this. They've had this come up a couple times. But they have this thing sometimes where they will put out an article and it will go viral and people will talk about it
Oh, yeah.
like it's true.
They're
And
hilarious.
that's hilarious when it happens. And so this has happened a whole bunch of times. And I wanted to just kind of do a little like activity. I wanted you to. I've got a couple articles here, titles here from the Daily Current. And some of these articles were picked up and went viral and were talked about on like major news organizations or like in major ways and stuff like that. I want to see if you can guess which ones got picked up and which ones were a little too unbelievable.
All right.
Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
All right. So let's start off with this one. You may have even heard this one. This is a good one. George Bush accidentally votes for Obama.
Isn't that false? Wait.
Well, no, we're going. They're all
So,
false, but
they're
the
all
ones that people
false.
believe.
They're all false. But which
people
ones
believe
did,
this one?
did like
I feel like
did like a news
people probably
organization
believe
pick
that.
this up?
I feel like it got picked up.
I feel like it could have been two.
Yeah.
I'll go.
It did. It did.
Nice.
It got
I
picked
think
up
I
by
saw it. I think
a bunch of Texas news outlets and an Italian newspaper picked it up. All right. Greece celebrates new bailout with epic $142 million beach party.
No.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna have to say no to that one
Yeah,
too.
no.
You're right. You're right. That one didn't. That one didn't fool anyone. All right. How about North Korea successfully launches 50,000 kilos of rice into space?
No. way.
I wish.
Okay. We'll do one more. Sarah Palin calls for invasion of the Czech Republic.
Probably.
True?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, not true, but like picked up.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah, it got picked up. It absolutely
Wow.
did. It got
You're
picked
so
up by a
good.
Polish newspaper. That's
Of
4 out of
course.
4. That's very good.
That-
All right.
yeah,
Well,
we're
thank you so much for joining me. It was
Yeah,
awesome
thank
to
you for
talk to
having
you.
us.
I hope you have a great show and a great tour.
Thank you.